19. We already saw this when we had Parshat Torah, sorry. And we're going to see it again in a few months from now, July, whatever. When we read this again, it's in Parshat Chukat. If you want to remember the Parshat Chukat, right at the beginning, this is part of Parshat Torah. But what's here? Well, I'm going to do this lesser font code, which is the word Kabbala. And you see it there on the top, but it's here, Kuf Beit Lamed He, right? I want to start with that. So we'll get the other word, which is Torah. So go to the chart on the next page. I have the chart. A lot of times I have the chart, sometimes I don't. The chart below shows the 4 words Kabbala codes goes through. The code skip from Kabbala code I have written here, which is 92. If you want to count how many letters from the Kuf to the Beit, etc., don't count them. We don't have Sarah today. Here, she told us she wasn't. We knew that. 92 is the skip. We're looking at all the words it goes through. So you add them all up and look at the total. If you've seen the total before, I have, you have too. 1335. I didn't write this part. One thing 1335 is, that's that second of the mystical numbers that Daniel brings. The end of days, 1335. It says that in the text. So that's the number we have, but it's not only that, it's also Torah Shebiksav, written Torah. So something about the written Torah and Kabbala are related. My basic theme is this, I'm already going to tell you. When you read the Torah, you're not just reading Torah, you're reading Kabbala. It's applied Kabbala. Yes, we shouldn't steal. We know that as a society we shouldn't do it. Or the Chukim, we got to do Shabbos. Of course we know we have to do that. And we read the Torah, it tells us the rules. We need the mitzvot, we need the rules, we have to follow halakha. But beyond halakha, we have to, we're supposed to, and I have to, we have to learn, should learn Kabbala. Else we want to know who God is, what He's doing. We can't know Him completely, but we can know Him partially with His Kabbala. Kabbala means the things He made for the world to exist. I wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have sheets, we wouldn't have water, we wouldn't have plants or birds or chirping birds or animals or anything if we didn't have Kabbala. This is the building blocks of everything. Like DNA is what? Building blocks of us, who we are, our eye color and different things. Well, this is spiritual DNA of everything that's in the world, even things that don't live, like rocks, right? Whatever. Yeah. I know Raphael and I, what is a rock? Does it have a soul? But whether it is or not having it, but the point is, it rocks. Everything is made with Kabbala. The whole world, every single thing. So this is saying the written Torah is based on Kabbala, and we're going to learn the total Torah will be, that's this year. Now, one more thing. The word Torah is also coded here. Right where we have the Kabbala, it doesn't cross it. Look, the resh is right next to the kuf there. So that's the word Torah. It's coded forward with a 53 skip. Interestingly, 53 is the positional gematria of Torah. Torah is usually 611, but here 53, because if you look at those letters positionally, you get a total of 53. All right, we'll go on. The next part, I'm just going to say this real quick. Fire of Hashem is actually in our Parsha. It starts in chapter 12. We're only going to do a little bit in 12. The other chapters are 13. And the Metzora, its companion, has 14 and 15. 4 chapters. But wow, are they crazy. It's talking about stuff which is to most people boring, kind of yucky. Who wants to know? This first part is birth of a child, so that's not yucky. But after that, it gets all yucky quick. I'm talking about these things on my body, it's like leprosy. It's not leprosy, that's a disease. Like you go to the doctor about it. It is not for a doctor, this is for the Kohen. It's a spiritual disease, we all know this. And only back then did we have it. Once there's no Beit HaMikdash, no Kohen Gadol to look at us and examine us, we don't have this disease anymore. There's no case of this ever since that time. There'll be again, we don't know. We actually hope there will be, because a lot of rabbis say, bring back those crazy, hazy days of Torah. I'm making the song, Hazy Days of Summer. Yeah, summer's fun. You go out, you play, you have a good time. But is Torah fun? No, I wouldn't want to have it, but it's really God loving us. Why? Because I did a mistake. I talked too much Lashon Hara, Chas v'Shalom. You know, I'm saying if I did. And if I do, back and then, and maybe in the future, if we're so close to God, He's going to punish us where everybody knows you did Lashon Hara because you have this stuff all over your body. I got to leave the camp, or in this case, I guess Jerusalem. I got to leave the city and go live, not with Rose, by myself. I'll have to make my own meals. Oh my God. Anyway, whatever it is, out in the camps, out somewhere, and that's what happened. They had to leave the camp. The camp at that time being the camp of the Israelites, or had they been Levium or Kohanim, they would have to leave the the camp, go outside all the camps and stay out there until the Kohen came and pronounced them pure. And then they still had to bring a carbon, get washed in a mikveh, and wait till the end of the day before they're totally clean. At any rate, what is here? This is Tazria. If this thing is fire of Hashem is here, well, nice code, no gematria associated necessarily with it. The skip is 68. And we start out with a pasuk that's the most used pasuk in all of Torah, which is V'edaber Hashem al Moshe Lemor. I will say nothing else about that. It's a leading pasuk. God spoke to Moses saying, right? When it says Vayomer, Romer, that's another one. That's a lot, but this is the most. V'edaber Hashem al Moshe Lemor, like 100 and something times, almost 200 times in the Torah. Then we get the famous pasuk, Daber o b'nei Israel Lemor. Speak to the children of Israel, saying, Isha ki Tazria. That's the name of our Parsha, the first one. Tazria. Metzora is the second one. Ki Tazria, which means a woman who bears seed, gives birth. The next line is gives birth. The Yalda Zachar, and she gives birth to a male. And what happens to her? Tame'ah, she's Tomei because of this. Shivat Yamim, right? What does that mean? A week of days, 7 days, right? And Kamei Nida Dota Tamea, right? So she's like the times of the Nida period. This is what we have here. This is not the Nida period. This is she gave birth to a child, happens to be a Zachar. And she stays that way in a Nida state for 7 days. Then, will be Yom Hashmini Yamo Basar Arato, which means on the 8th day, what does she do? What do they do, her and her husband? They circumcise or have the son circumcised. 8th day. That's if he's healthy and everything's okay. He gets it on the 8th day. We're not reading all the halakha here. This is where we learn the halakha of circumcision. It's not from Abraham. That's where we learn details about it. Abraham did it, both to Ishmael and also to Yitzhak. Yitzhak was 8th day. Ishmael was 13 years old when he had it, right? And he became part of not Klal Yisrael, but the Klal at that time of Abraham. He became a Ben Noach at that time, getting a circumcision. Not that they need to do it. Arabs do circumcise themselves, but it's not a complete circumcision today. Whatever. But at any rate, this is where we really learn out the halacha. So you want to know, why do we circumcise our boys? Because of this statement right here in 3. She has a child, boy child. Yes, she's this state, but the 8th day, she has to circumcise the child. Then, pasuk number 4 says, Ushloshim yom shleshes yamim tashev b'demei tahara. She will remain in an unclean state and needs to be purified for 33 more days. That's tacked on to the 7. So let's add. 33 and 7 add up to 40. That's for a male child. But then it goes on to a very strange thing. But the next pasuk, Be'im nekeva kaled tame'ah shivim. She's that way for 2 weeks. Why double? And then also, by the way, instead of 33, it's going to be 66. Next pasuk, or maybe it's part of that pasuk. But at any rate, 66 and 14 is now 80, double what was before. Why? Is it worse to have a female than a male? So the rabbis ask this question. There are many answers for this thing, but one that I really like a lot is the following, because it's like a more midrashic kind of thing. It's easy to state. When a boy comes out, she lost holiness because a boy was in her and he came out, and that part of a human being came out of her womb, and therefore she lost some part of holiness, right? That's why she has to be that way. And why is it half? Because when the girl comes out, the girl, although not yet, when she grows up, has the potential of bearing a child herself. No man can bear a child. Yes, we can be assistants in it, but we can't bear a child. Whenever a man does this, that's going to be the biggest news story of the century, of the creation, right? Now, a woman bears children, but a man can't bear a child. So when he bears a child, this is going to be a big news story. Ain't going to happen, folks. I don't think. And it's not biology. So therefore, yes, you can have test tube babies all you want, but it's not the man bearing. So when he comes out, he can't have a child later on. So she loses one holiness. When she comes out, she loses 2 holinesses. The child that she has, the girl, the same thing, and that's because they're famous midrash. And she also loses the fact that this child could bear a child, potentially, not for sure, and therefore that's double holiness. Double holiness means when you lose double holiness, you're double time empty, impure. So therefore you have to bring, you know, Haman, and you have to be in that state. Anyway, that's quick on one foot. We're not going anywhere else. This is Eish Hashem, because the woman has to bring a carbon, but both a sin offering and another one. What all goes through why it's called a sin offering. There are shitas on this also, but fire of Hashem, because these offerings require fire. Next one is big. Here we go. With Hashem's loving heart, He made the world something from nothing. We want to see that. Now, when I say loving heart, we're going to go to the first code we have. This is page number 4A. 4A, just for the code, and then we'll have charts. This is a 4-pager, folks. It takes a little bit. Lev Hashem is coded here with a very small skip of 5. Starting on line number, the beginning of the code is on line Gimel, 3. It's down 3 lines down. 4 lines down. So it says, Lev Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, right, Rose? All right, so that's there with a 5 skip. We want to learn about that code, so we're going to go to the chart. The chart is on page 4C. And by the way, welcome, Abraham. Welcome, my friend. So, we have the 5 skip code goes through how many words? Well, the word we're talking about here is Lev Hashem. It has 6 letters in it. So it goes through how many words? 6, right? They're all listed. On page 4C, you see a list of all the numerical values of those words. I'm going to read you only the total. The total of the 5 skip code, namely Lev Hashem, is 2,517. It occurs again in this Parsha, where Tazria, in chapter 12, partially, and this one also goes into chapter 13. The code is again Lev Hashem, but it's a much bigger skip. It's an 80 skip, it says there, 80, right? And that Lev Hashem, you can see by the gematrias, it goes through those words. Before we get back to that, I also want to note that that kuf of Yud Kei Vav Kei, I was supposed to make a kuf, I forgot and I left it a hey. And it's all right, because it's Yud Kuf Vav Hey. Well, that's not God's name anyway. It's got to have a hey and a hey.
Right.
So therefore, I'm not writing His name, but truthfully, I didn't like when I wrote the hey. My fault. I'm going to read what's in the paragraph before I get back down to the chart. Lev Hashem is coded with a 5 skip backwards and an 80 skip forwards. There are 4 skip letters between each code letter of Lev Hashem with that smaller skip. Now I'm not talking about the words it goes through, I'm talking about the letters that are skipped. So if we look at back on the first page, page number 4A, if we look at the Lamed there, and I go to the Beit, what letters are there? Who wants to read those letters? Rachel, you want to read the letters between the Lamed and the Beit?
Backwards?
Yeah, the backwards letters.
Reish, Shin.
Yeah, correct. Backwards or forwards, it doesn't matter. I probably read them forwards as a gematria, but it doesn't matter. So it's Reish, Ayin, Reish, Shin. Correct. So what's that add up to? Well, Shin is 300, Reishes are 200, so right away I got 700, and the Ayin is 70, 770. So you notice on the sheet I wrote on page 4C, I wrote 770. The first group of letters that are skipped, we're not even using those letters except to get the code format, right? It's 770. And the next set adds to 86. We're not going to do it, but it does. The next one, 400. The 4th set adds to 58. And the 5th set adds to 450. I now want to check just the skipped letters. Not the code, but the skip letters, and it's 1764. You know what that's equal to? 4. Why 4? Because how many letters do we... Actually, I don't know why 4. 1 second. Oh, yeah. I do know why. They're the number of skip letters we just did. That's what we just added, 4 letters, right? And the other number is 441. Truth. Emet. I made a mistake later and put it in, but you corrected it with the 1. This is 441, not 411. 441 truth. There's truth involved there. But now back to the chart. So the skip code 5, 4 words, and the total, I'm sorry, 6 words, and the total of that is 2517. The 80 skip one has a total, also a different total, of 1509. You can look at the words they go through, do the gematrias, they're all been checked out. And the total of both of those codes is the total 4226. But that number's nice, but I have to take away the code words. What's the code word worth? Well, Lev Hashem happens to be 32 and 26, which is 58. So I'm going to take away 2 58s, because there's 2 code words. from that total number. I don't want the code. I want to know all the word letters except for the code itself. And the total of that is 4110. I almost fell off the couch or chair, wherever I was, when I did this. It's 10. A lot of times it's 10. 10, zeros, 10, what do you call it, sayings of creation, 10, Serasadibros, all 10s. And 411, what's 411? It's 3 times 137, where 137 happens to be Kabbala, right? What's what my theme has been so far. We're going to see more Kabbala stuff. This is at the beginning of it. And not only that, it's also equal to Tohu, second pasuk of the Torah. V'haaretz hayta tohu vavohu, and it's also, this is the main one for us, equal to yesh me'ayin, something from nothing. When God made the Torah, He made the Bria world, and in that world, He made it something from nothing. That word is darkness. It's empty. It's void. It's like you smile. Nothing, right? It's a nothing. Truthfully. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's true. It's the matter of the world, it's the substance, but no energy, no life, no spirit. All right, at any rate, that's what we have so far. And also, additionally, there is, besides that, a 15-word bold gematria group there, too. So let's go to that. That's on page number 4C again. We've got a big 15-word group there. It's all in Parshat Gimel of chapter 13 now, about the Tazria, the skin diseases. And that group is equal to, it's got the Vav of that second code in it, too. And it's equal to what? It says here, 4110. I accidentally wrote 441. It's 4110. I made a typo. All right, Rose caught me yesterday and we changed it. You wrote it in there, right? And I got it on mine also. 4110. It's our gematria we just got from the codes. Now we have it in a gematria in the group. Amazing. There's more. And I didn't say this last night. I'll say it now. We have other words here coded also. I made them bold. You notice what words we have? We have emet. Why do you think I have emet? Because the skipped letters gave us the idea of emet. Remember when Rachel read it and told us the words the letters we're using? It added up to emet. Remember? Right. Well, number 4 times emet. Right. This is emet coded here. Right. And again, and other things too. What other word is coded here? I'm trying to remember because I don't remember myself what's coded here. I see a vav, a hey, and a vav. Those big letters. What would this be? I don't remember myself. Hey, vav, hey, tav. I don't remember what it is. My fault. I don't remember. And I didn't tell it last night. And I didn't write it down for myself to remind me. There's other words coded there that I thought were important, but I don't remember what it is. All right. Oh, I think it's tohu. It's tohu. It's tohu a couple of times there, I think. Do I see a tohu? Yeah. Tav, hey, vav. That's tohu. And then I've got another one. Do I have more? No, I don't have the final one, so I don't know what that other one is. Anyway, I do have tohu. And maybe I have bohu also. Ah, that's right. I think that bait up there is part of the thing, and I think I get bohu from that. So tohu and bohu, I think both. Anyway, emptiness and void. So let's go on. Now, we're going to talk about saras for a moment. Have to get this, it's a very important part. So, what is saras? So, saras is called leprosy. It's not leprosy. But can't really describe exactly what it is. It's a skin disease that the Jewish person got because of what? He made a mistake. Let's say lashon hara, slander, or whatever they did. Other bad things too. Theft goes in there, doing other evil deeds, or breaking mitzvot. The Jewish person back in the days of the temple could have been struck, or the days of Mishkan, could have got struck with saras. Like I said, only a spiritual disease. Well, let's learn why. This is from, and I wish Sarah was here for this. This is, well, you're here for this, Rachel. This is from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. All right? Only a little bit. There's much more. A person to whom shall occur in the skin of his flesh. That's the translation of part of 13.2, chapter 13 of Tazria. Our sages say that the occurrence of saras was confined to biblical times, implying that later generations are not of the spiritual caliber that allow us for this supernatural affliction. So before we learn what supernatural is, this means later generations, after the ones who can get this, are not at the same level. We say Rashi was a great, great, great commentary, better than anybody today probably, but Rashi himself would have said, but I'm not on the same level as a Rabbi Akiva or a Shimon Bar Yochai, because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I get all of my knowledge and stuff from what they did. I'll get more knowledge, but it's from them. We say it too. So we can't get this stuff. Rashi couldn't get it either. If he, chas v'shalom, would have done one of these things, I'm sure he didn't, but even if he would have, he couldn't have gotten this infection of the skin. It's not physical, it's physical in appearance, but it's a spiritual disease. Let's read the rest. And also supernatural. So I said supernatural. Why did it say supernatural? So I looked up the definition. It's an adjective, and the first one is it's beyond what is natural, or supernatural. So it's the same thing. This rabbi from Lubavitch just decided to put in the word supernatural, above the natural. Basically 8 above Teva. Teva 7 and below. We have here 8. Shabbos is a physical holiday with touchings of the spiritual, but it's not an 8. What is an 8? Shavuot is called an 8, even though it's the 50th day past that we've been counting the Omer. So the 49th day of the Omer was over. We get Shavuos the next day, which is going to be a Wednesday. Yes, that's Tuesday night and a Wednesday. So we will not have class that day. It would be Parshas Naso that week, normal. At any rate, supernatural. And notice, I'm going to read the next part first. Back to the second paragraph. The reason for this can be understood from the opening words of the Torah's description of the Metzora. Here, the person that gets saras is called a Metzora, a person who has, saras. Shall occur. Did we just read that? A person to whom shall occur in the skin of his friend. It sounds like an accident, right? It implies a happenstance, something out of character in the skin of his flesh. Likewise indicates that the blemish is only superficial. It's in the skin. It's not deeper. It's not deeper. It's only skin deep, right? Affecting only the most external layer of the person. In other words, we are speaking of one whose inner being is free of imperfection. We're not talking about Shemini, where we have Tameh on the inside. We're talking about here where they only get an infection on the outside of their body. They look bad and they're sent out of the camp, but they have nothing that can infect another person, right? It's not passable, it's called, what's it called? Contaminated. Right. It's not that. All right? So now we say free of imperfection, and only blemish or malady exists only on the outside. Thus the Talmud, Sanhedrin, describes Mashiach as a Metzora. Why would he call the Metzora? Signifying that the Messianic age is a time in which evils that have infested the world and mankind rise to the surface. In other words, so everybody can clearly see them. Can we see that ISIS is a total evil? Back in time, you had people that deceived people, and you might have gone, well, they still have those types too, and you might go along with them, and you don't know they're deceiving you. Oh, it's my best friend, and it turns out to stab you in the back as soon as look at you, but we don't know, right? So this is a time where everything's on the surface. That's why we know what's happening with Trump. That's why we know what's happening in Israel. That's why we know what Korea is doing, because this idiot over there speaks it out. I hate the United States, and I want to nuke their, things that are coming in our area. He's talking about nuking the, ship that's coming, by the way. And I'm going to bring it because I didn't have time. I'm seeing our crowd of 4, so it would have been worthwhile because you're here, but I wouldn't have other people. But I could have put it in the video. Anyway, I found a reference. Take it to the bank. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I wish it wouldn't happen, but Carl Vinson is over there now. That's the ship, the aircraft carrier, and that's coded in this week's Torah portion. As it is. And not only is the ship name, and what does it say happens? It says fire. The word is Euro means shooting upon. Somebody's going to shoot upon it, and Korea is coded in that area. So Korea, I think, is going to shoot on this ship. I didn't say they're going to destroy it. I didn't say sunk. I don't think it's going to be sunk. I think this guy's going to try to intimidate Trump, which he shouldn't do, and I hope it doesn't lead, it's going to lead to at least a few battles, but something's going to happen with this. I think Trump and the Navy and the Air Force are going to wipe the idiot out. But whatever, it's going to be not great. And I'm saying it because it's in the Parshat. I wouldn't say it. I didn't bring it, though. So I don't have it here to show, and you have it now on the table. So
Can you bring it next week?
This week's Parshat.
Yeah, can you bring it next week?
Yes, I can bring it next week. I'll try to put it together and bring it next week.
Yeah.
I saw it yesterday and this morning, and I tried to put it together enough time. Yes.
See if it's clear which direction, who's firing on whom.
Right, that's correct. But it did say Korea and the stuff. It didn't exactly mention. It didn't exactly mention the United States. I'll make sure with the codes that it works out. That I know what it's exactly talking about before I bring it. Okay? But it looks to me like it's going to be firing upon them. I don't think Trump is going to fire upon them if they don't do anything. If they don't do a missile test, the United States isn't going to do nothing. But he's taunting Trump. He's saying, I'm going to do it. We're going to have a lot of dead bodies in America. He mentioned Japan. He's mentioned South Korea. They're right next door. There's 50 miles between Seoul, South Korea, capital city, and them. The border of the military is 50 miles. 50 miles is like a pot shot.
There's a lot of American soldiers
out of the military. So this is bad. We had a Korean War back in the 50s. This was not him or his father, but it was another idiot of that dynasty.
This is crazy.
They're crazy people. Anyway, so let's go back to this. So we have supernatural, and why Mashiach called the Metzora? Because of the time when evils infest the world, rises to the surface so that they can be decisively overcome and cured. This says the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So in other words, Mashiach is called that because he's going to be able to destroy a bunch of evils. It's not that he has a skin disease. It's that he's going to be able to destroy all these evils when he comes. Right? Hopefully soon. Right? At any rate, Saras, what's it equal to? An amazing number. 760. It's the same gematria as Atzeret. Why am I mentioning this now? When you get Shavuot, when you see Shmini Atzeret, that's called Atzeret, right in the title. It's Shmini Atzeret. It's the 8th of Atzeret, of this resting, this waiting period, where you stay with God an extra day. That's Shmini Atzeret, Simchat Torah. We're talking about Shavuot. Shavuot is the only holiday really called an Atzeret in the Talmud. Shmini Atzeret is not called an Atzeret. It's got in the title. We don't need to call that. It says it. But Shavuot is hidden. It's not called an Atzeret. What's an Atzeret of? Pesach. The end of Pesach is really Shavuot. Pesach's the beginning. You have all this counting the Omer to connect the holidays together. That's why we count the Omer, get ourselves better spiritually. And 760 is the same gematria. It's actually the same letters as Atzeret. Just turn these letters around and you get Atzeret. This is Sarat, right? 760. What's 760 equal to? Keter, Chachma, Bina. That's not Teva. Teva is everything below. We have Abraham, Yitzhak. They're human. There's no humans to Bina, to Chachma, or to Keter. This is too high. These are those last plagues. It's not human stuff. It's all above nature. Everything there is above nature because of the plague. But still, these three main sphirot are above Teva. These are the highest sphirot, and as such above the natural, as with Zeranpin and Nukta Zeranpin.